got broken as the dust begins to settle. Eyes wide and fists clenched. Revenge is on the cards.
Tonight on Countdown to Green, we talk with Garrett Lowe, Blade Witt, and John Wood from Wood Brothers Racing. We go rapid fire with the 2022 rookie class, and we take a look at how you race at home with the Logitech Show Us Your Rig segment. All that and more tonight on Countdown to Green.
'Cause we're invincible. We won't be shut out. Won't take this lying down. Hey, we won't save you now. 'Cause we're invincible. We won't be shut out. Won't take this lying down. We won't save you now. 'Cause we're invincible.
Welcome to the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. This is Countdown to Green, and we are getting ready for the World Wide Technology Raceway track tonight, and it's an inaugural one. I'm your host, Camille Salazar-Hadaway, and joining me is Alan Cabana, and we got a familiar face, but a different one for Countdown to Green. Blake McCandless, welcome. I heard Brandon was a little bit scared that he may be losing on our picks.
I wouldn't be shocked about that.
Yeah.
I know Brandon's a pretty competitive person, so it doesn't shock me in the slightest if maybe he was bowing out here a little embarrassed, but that's okay. Prettier face right here anyways.
Blake, It's awesome to have you. It's a fun night, too, because we get to see World Wide Technology Raceway for the first time before the Cup guys in the real world on Sunday get to do it. We get to see it here tonight in the Coke Series. It's going to be great.
It's going to be great. And also just props to our production crew with our amazing new opening.
Yeah.
You love that.
I saw that. Yeah.
I love it so much. But what you know I love more is catching everyone up on everything that happened in Charlotte. Let's take a look.
And as always, we're happy you're spending a Tuesday night with us here for some live eNASCAR action. The pace car's off and in, the field in the hands of Michael Conti as we say, let's go racing at Charlotte. This is the Coca-Cola 150.
Ballard, what a slide. Oh, Bowden's up into the wall as he overcorrects, slides back down into the field, and I imagine that will be a caution as you see them wrecking smoke everywhere. Logan Clippett's involved. Zach Novak looks like he's able to just scrape by.
On the pit cycle, everybody going for 4 fresh Goodyear tires, and Michael Conti able to maintain the race lead. Sunset action, track changing, the conditions will cool off a little bit, but also sunset, depending on the angle, could make viewing a little bit difficult. If you get it into the windshield, you can see the sun reflected onto the racetrack right there. It's just tucked behind the grandstands, and your race leader, Casey Kerwin, to pit road, James.
Boos on the outside, though, going to get a little bit of a run, and I think Boos is done saving. He's going to try to take the lead in turn 3.
New race leader with 5 laps to go. Busa leads his first lap of the afternoon at Busa. Trying to hang on. They are both 0.6 of a second clear from Wilson. Busa last pitted 70 laps ago. Novak 67. He's got a little bit more if he needs it coming to the white flag. Matt Busa with a couple 100 feet to go. Gonna get wins in back-to-back seasons for the first time in his career. Matt Busa does it and wins at Charlotte.
Back-to-back wins. I'm pretty sure Matt is just living it up right now. Right, Blake?
Oh, absolutely. After you win one of these races, especially the way he did it, being able to save fuel and outthink everybody, it's got to feel good to win that way. Absolutely.
Yeah, and that was my thought on the Charlotte race, is that this league, heck, this championship comes down to more than just speed and setups. That's what we saw in Charlotte, right? I mean, there were plenty of cars faster than Matt Busa last week, but brains and strategy won out. For him to win it the way he did, that was a decision you have to make early on in that race, or at least early on in the run, well before the finish. That was a strategy decision for him to do that, and guess what? in the playoffs now. So it's more about speed and setup. It's about strategy as well. That's why I love this league and how this championship battle is shaping up.
Well, Blake, we heard Alan's thoughts. What were your thoughts on Charlotte?
Well, I think you have largely the same takeaways here, but there is more than one way to earn a playoff spot, and Alan just kind of touched on it. It's not just raw speed that's going to get you there. Obviously, you can get in through points. We're getting to the point now that it's looking like a win is going to be necessary to get in, but there's so many different ways to approach these races, to attack these races from a speed and a strategy perspective that there is certainly more than one way to earn your way into these playoffs, and Matt Busa proved that last week at Charlotte.
There is more than one way, but you mentioned the points, so we got to talk about the point standings.
Certainly so, Camille, as we'll take a look here at the point standings. You can look at them right there. Nick Ottinger and Michael Conti are only multiple-time winners this year in 2022. And looking a little bit further down the order, a couple of drivers pop out to me in particular. You see Blake Reynolds and Taylor Hurst right there. One top five between both of those drivers. So it has not necessarily been those spectacular runs that we've seen out of those two, but consistency has been key for both of them. 7 top 10s, only 1 top 5. They've been able to hang around. And also look, Team Dillon straddling that playoff cut line right there for Corey Vincent and Taylor Hurst that are both on the outside. And of course, our rookie in Liam Brotherton hanging on a 19th.
Congrats to the rookie coming in. But Alan, we got to talk about those teams.
Yeah, the team standings, because we've had another change at the top. Jim Beaver Esports back on top, really just proving how competitive this team title is this season. Check out Rise Esports, entering the top 5 after their drivers both in the top 5 in Charlotte. Then there's the other side of the coin. Charlotte Phoenix taking a huge tumble after one driver couldn't race in Charlotte. And Clint Boyer Racing, they had a terrible Charlotte race. They're hanging on to a top 10 spot. 2311 Racing, got to shout them out. I've been keeping my eye on them all year because they're the defending champions. They've been up and down. They were up after Charlotte, so credit where it's due, Camille.
Credit where it's due, and we have to give credit to the drivers. There's a lot that goes in their head race after race. And Alan, I believe you have one of the drivers from Wood Brothers Racing to catch up and just figure out how they go through the series. Yeah,
because it's such a tough competitive year, right? So we got the Wood Brothers drivers on tonight. We're going to start with our friend Garrett Lowe. Lowe's been with the Wood Brothers, joined them this year. So Garrett, you're joining us now. What made you join Wood Brothers, and how has it been with this team?
It's just good family. They're just such a good organization, obviously family oriented, which is something I love to work with. So for me, that's a big part of it. They've always been great to me, so I'm just going to keep sticking with them as long as I can.
Well, we're going to this new track, World Wide Technology Raceway, for the first time. So how do you do it? How do you prepare for a new racetrack that, look, you guys have never raced on?
Yeah, so the preparation for tonight has been really rushed. With the one-way turnarounds in Charlotte, we've had to really up our game on how quickly we're building these cars and getting the car dialed in. And honestly, it takes a lot more time with this car to get it set up exactly where you want it. So having only 1 week and also being Memorial Day weekend, busy weekend with racing, that kind of deal, it really does change how you have to approach it. And I've definitely spent a lot of time the last 2 days to just try to figure out where that edge is on this car this week.
You added a new teammate this year. We're going to talk to him in a little bit. But Blade is on the team now. What's that been like, him joining the team at Wood Brothers, and what's it done for the crew?
It's been a lot of fun to race with Blade. I actually passed by him this weekend at the truck race on Friday night, so that was cool. Stopped and talked for a minute. But yeah, he's a great guy. He's pretty cool to work with. We often start around the same spot, but then during the races, we're back and forth moving around. So usually early on in the races, we're somewhere near each other, which is pretty funny.
I love that you live near the Charlotte area. There was so much going on Memorial Day weekend here in the area. You raced on the real side of things. What was going on for you Memorial Day weekend?
Yeah, so this past weekend we visited Hickory Motor Speedway for the Southeast Legends Tour. It's our first time running with the tour. We were really wicked loose off the truck. So we made some huge swings. We were probably 4 rounds in on the car to get it tightened up and still couldn't get it tight enough. And that new sealer they put down is all gone. So it was a big swing for us, but we'd been there a couple weeks ago. We were out in left field to start practice and ended up breaking a motor mount in the race. And Not sure where we finished, but it wasn't good. So, but yeah, we're looking to get into a limited late model sometime this year and hopefully get it ready this summer. We got the car, we got an engine, transmission. We're just waiting on a little bit of sponsorship to help us get the car finished up and run some races this summer.
If there's one thing we know, it's racing luck, whether in the real world or here in the Coke Series. So driving those Legends cars, how do they compare? How does it help out driving on the east side of things?
Yeah, so I've been racing Legend cars for the last 4 years. And prior to that, I raced Bandoleros for about 2.5. Won a championship in the Bandolero in 2018. I moved to Legend car in the spring of 2018. And then last year won the road course world championship in semi-pro and decided to move to the pro division for 2022.
Good stuff, and good luck tonight. We're going to talk to your teammate and your team owner coming up later. But Garrett, thank you for joining us here tonight.
I love that. Garrett did mention a late model, but Blake, I have to look to you because I feel like you have a race coming up.
We do. This Saturday, we're going to be racing at Hickory Motor Speedway, the number 71, Landon Huffman Racing, Jason Smith Limited Late Models. So ready and excited to get that going here in a couple of days. It's a lot of fun. We went out and tested last week, and we were pretty close to Huffman's pace. So who knows how it'll go when we get there. We get other cars on the track. But, yeah, I'd have to echo what Garrett said there, that the sim definitely helped flatten the learning curve. Showing up to the racetrack and having some laps in the sim definitely helped being able to get up to speed for sure.
So we're going to have to look into updates after you do that one. Maybe Brandon won't show up next time and you could come back to Countdown to Green and let us know. But, you know, these racers in this series, they go through so much and they really are the best of the best. But we're also giving opportunities to other racers to race against them. Let's talk about the Road to Pro Round 1.
Well, here in this Road to Pro qualifying iRacing series, Camille, this is something that I went through last year, and it is a long and grueling process. We just completed the first round of that qualifying series. If you're running in these trucks, you can see a little bit of Dover here that was recently run. They closed things out at Charlotte here this past week. So 70 drivers out of over 1,000, Camille, over 1,000 drivers that started this season. We've narrowed it down to 70, and out of those top 70, we'll take a couple of weeks off, we'll reset the points, and we'll start them all over again and move forward to round 2. Going to be another set of races there, an entirely different season, and out of those 70, we will take the top 20, and they will have the chance to compete against the bottom 20 drivers from the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series this season, and they get their chance to try and make this series in 2023.
That's an amazing opportunity for these racers. I feel like it's also very intimidating because there is a lot of money on the line for them as well.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of work if you think about it. If you're going through this qualifying series in the trucks and then you get to move forward to the Contender Series in the Xfinity car, this is an entire year-long process that I went through, and I didn't even get to the Coke Series. I got kicked back down and got put here at the booth this year. So, yeah, it's definitely a long, tedious process, and you got to be committed to it. A lot of work goes in, and the competition is just so tough to get to this level.
It is tough, but you know what? We're happy you made your way to the Coca-Cola Series another way in the booth. Alan, we got to talk about your interview with Garrett. He mentioned Blade, and I believe you have Blade on standby.
Yeah, it's always fun to talk to these drivers. I mean, thinking about that ladder that they just climbed that Blake explained, it's so impressive. That's why I love talking to the drivers here. And we have Blade Witt, the other driver for the Wood Brothers. He's the one who just joined Wood Brothers this year. So Blade, what led to the decision to join Wood Brothers Racing here in 2022?
I was really just looking for somewhere different. I really, in the Fraser process, I kind of valued finding like a real NASCAR team compared to maybe some of the esports stuff a little bit. But, you know, there's pros and cons to every situation. But, I mean, you know, I've always enjoyed watching the Wood Brothers race and everything. I feel like it was a good fit this year, and you know, I'm glad to represent them and everyone. You know, it's been really nice working with John Wood so far this year. You know, he runs a lot of the stuff for Wood Brothers, so it's been a great, you know, it's been good on that front so far this year.
Can't help but notice you are a Virginia boy joining the Virginia team of the Wood Brothers Racing. So now that you've had a few races in, we're more than halfway through the regular season. How do you sum up 2022? How's it gone for you?
So I feel like early on in the year, we really, as a team, kind of struggled on the speed front a little bit, but we were able to get those kind of finishes, that would keep, I was in a decent points position probably after 3 races in, and, we got good finishes, even though, not great finishes, just decent finishes, especially for the speed we had. And, and then as we moved on to like Richmond and Bristol Dirt and those kind of tracks, I felt like we had that luck kind of started to fade a little bit. I feel like I had a good car at Bristol Dirt. I was running in 8th place whenever we got damaged there early on. At Richmond, it's just bad luck. And then, in the past couple weeks, I feel like we started to pick up on the speed front a little bit, and the luck wasn't there at Kansas for a little bit. I got damaged early, but last week at Charlotte, finished 11th. I feel like that was a good kind of shot in the arm for our team. But going forward, I want to keep, making gains on the speed front, and I feel like we've started to do that, and then just pair that with some luck, and I think we can start, fighting our way forward in the points a little bit as we go forward.
Yeah, good luck. Good assessment of 2022 so far as both of the drivers at Wood Brothers look for a championship. Who can give us the best assessment? Maybe the team owner himself, John Wood, who's joining me now. John, thank you so much. Let's go back, though. Wood Brothers, you guys were the first NASCAR team, really the first team in general, to join this series, this form of it, the organization type series that going forward. What was your vision way back then, joining up like this?
It just seemed at the time that esports was beginning to grow as a very popular venture. There were a lot of different leagues that were growing that were just seeing exponential growth. It was non-existent really in the NASCAR space. As far as there being actual cup team involvement, it just wasn't such a thing. We go to Homestead for the final race of the year, and Steve Myers was there, and he kind of pitched the idea and said, how would you feel about joining up as one of the teams, and we actually have real team participation? And I'm like, yeah, it works for me. And one of the things that I had remembered, because I was in iRacing myself, there wasn't a way to use real door numbers like the font that actual cars had, and that bothered me. And he's like, well, I don't know how we can do it, but we'll work on it. And sure enough, a month later, it was the new thing. That was something that I thought was important, and I'm super glad that we did it. It's the growth. Obviously, it took COVID to kind of jumpstart things and really kick iRacing and esports as a whole into the mainstream. But it was still a big deal prior to COVID anyway. And I'm proud to have been a part of it, and I'm glad that it's grown like it has.
Yeah, it's been a great journey, so you made a great decision to be a part of all this. Let's talk about your drivers. We heard from both of them. I want to touch on Garrett because he has been with your team for 3 seasons already. What makes him so special?
Garrett has been the easiest to work with from day one. His performance is there. He's a top-notch driver, but what I like the most is his ability to just do his own thing. He's not high maintenance. He just goes and races. And you'll ask him, I throw bonuses at him left and right, not because he does well, but just because he's so easy to work with. And I dread the day that somebody else comes along and takes him from us, because he's just been a delightful driver to work with. The legend car experience that he's got, it obviously helps him. He knows so much about these cars, but I think that's one thing that helps a lot of these guys that makes the best better than the rest is they're either real world experience working on cars, mechanical engineers, whatever they are, or in Garrett's case, drivers. They just seem to do a little bit better than the guys that are virtual only.
I don't think it's an accident that you hired a real-world driver as one of your sim drivers. You are a former driver as well on the NASCAR side. You're also obviously an iRacer. So how do those two compare, both real-world and sim?
It's as close to the real thing as it gets. The one difference that you can't really replicate in a simulator is the the feeling that you get in your back and your body when the car is about to spin out or something to that effect. You can't really replicate that, but everything else is just as real as it can possibly be.
Good stuff, John. Appreciate you joining us. And it's just, Camille, Blake, it's great to hear from the drivers, and especially an owner who knows, so intimately the real world aspect of it at NASCAR's highest levels and then the highest levels here in iRacing. It's just a great team to be involved with.
I just love that they seem like such a family. There's so much love going always for them. Alan, also, that was an amazing interview. Thank you so much. We love when you ask the hard-hitting questions, but you know what? Our production team decided to get in on that action and actually connect with some of our drivers for some rapid-fire questions.
Day job? I don't have a day job.
I'm a pilot. I'm a first officer for Porter Airlines.
I work at an elementary school. That's over with now. It's summertime, so right now, got nothing.
Just iRacing, and I'm doing some stock market stuff right now and doing some sponsorship stuff for my Xfinity Racing.
I'm an engineer at a place called Newport News Shipbuilding. I work on submarines, engineer for them.
I'm not sure I've ever tried it, but I'm a big fan of pineapple, so I think yes.
I say no. I just think it's kind of awkward and weird. I think the taste kind of would taste okay, but it just looks wrong.
No, not just no, hell no, absolutely no. No.
Yes. Okay, I gotta make a clarification though, alright? Since I'm from New Jersey and us New Jerseyans and New Yorkers, we're very, very serious about our pizza. In the right scenario, yeah, pineapple on pizza is okay.
I think it would be my roommate Vicente. I think it's being him.
I don't think I can go turn down Vicente because I've known him for so long, and he's obviously my best friend. So
maybe Vicente. I don't necessarily know why, but I feel like he's just smart enough to know what to do.
Oh God, be Cody Bias.
I'll go with Ricky Bobby.
Cole Trickle. He's the man, the legend.
Ricky Bobby.
Oh, Cole Trickle.
Cole Trickle. I mean, Tom Cruise. Coolest dude, so yeah.
Oh, trouble. There's wrecking behind. Big crash.
White flag, here they come. Garrett Main's gonna take the lead. Something along the lines of that.
Probably the way this year's gone. Probably, the 69 hard in the wall again.
I'd have to hold my nose. I'd have to be like, coming to the inside, like that. That would be my impersonation.
Well, right now it's probably Parker Retzlaff. We seen him fly into a wreck at Charlotte and threw me off a little bit, but
I'm just gonna say Parker because we always find a way to be in the same wreck with each other.
I don't really have anyone I don't like, but I would say Corey Vincent because of the clash.
Probably, I'd say Liam Brotherton. Has ran into a lot of people this year.
Easiest answer is always to pick Ray Alfala, being a former crew chief, as a meme in a way to beat Ray every week. Colin Bowden.
Clampett, he's probably the first one. Yeah, I would just say him first, and then that's a long list though. I don't really like a whole lot of them.
Oh, that was great. For great production there, guys. They are running out of fingers to point at each other because everyone is pointing at different. When you ask them the rival question, there's no PR with these guys. They all answered the question, so thankfully we all know who's enemies with the other person. That was awesome.
I mean, I feel like our production crew just set the rookies up in a trap, but I love how all of them chose Vicente as an Apocalypse, co-partner to get through it. But there was no love for pineapple on pizza. As a Canadian, I'm offended.
I'm not a big fan of pineapples on pizza, but the one thing I got to comment on, because this is something I take to heart, is the Evan Pasoko impersonation, because some of them were pretty close, some of them were far off, but every once in a while you just got to get it going, get a little bit of the nasal up there, and let's say, let's go racing from World Wide Technology Raceway, and just kind of let it out.
Blake, I am fearful for you when you head into the race next to Evan, because I'm getting word that he might have stormed out for production.
Well, the great thing is I could just cover for him, and I don't know, half the audience may not know. They may not know the difference.
Hey, we can get one of the drivers to do an Evan impression, clearly, because they do it so well, I guess.
They do it so well, and you know what? Maybe at home, people should submit their Evan impressions, but you already submitted your Twitter rigs. This is Show Us Your Rig, my favorite segment, and of course, this is brought to you by Logitech. This is where we get to see your rigs at home, and we're starting off with a really large screens. Three of them!
Triple screen, the wraparound dual wheels there. I mean, he is prepared there, Burkhart. Good job.
Oh, we have a little bit more of a simple setup, right, Blake?
Yeah, this is a simple setup. This is actually my twin brother, so he is racing from his barracks room. Thank you for your service, Philip. He'll love me saying that. But yeah, this is a new G29 that he just bought a couple weeks ago. So this is kind of his basic setup in his barracks room.
I love the fact that you didn't find any of your components for your rig in his setup.
No.
We have another one. Whoa, you can tell this is a race car driver right here.
Oh, yeah.
My goodness.
Look at that. Red Bull. The aesthetic of it is perfect. That light, production, he's got it all on point there. Triple screen, too.
All right, let's go to the last one here. And
all right, hey,
everyone needs to start somewhere.
However it works, whatever gets you to the finish line. If that works, Blade, that's your rig.
Yeah. Is that Blade? Yeah.
This is actually, he had to travel out to Charlotte, I think, for a funeral, and he ended up setting this up aside from that, and this was what he ran on last week. So it is not all about the fancy setup.
No, it's all about getting it done, getting the connection, and putting it, in victory lane however you can. It's awesome.
Exactly. So make sure to send us your Twitter rigs. Tweet us at eNASCAR. Tag both NASCAR and iRacing, and then you should get. I feel like all the love that we give. It's all love we give to all submissions of Twitter rigs. But there is no love sometimes when we go against each other and we talk about our picks. Alan, actually, Blake, you know what? You're the guest. Let's start with you. You have Brandon's pick, right?
I do, and of course, unfortunately, Brandon couldn't be here, was a little sick tonight, so I'm filling in at least for his pick, so this is probably the kiss of death. I'm really sorry, but Jimmy Mullis is going to be Brandon's pick to win tonight. Jimmy Mullis is a driver that always seems to show up around this time. You see it in the Cup Series as well. If you get hot during the summer, that can make a big difference in your championship push, and right now, Jimmy Mullis, he's shown the last several years, this is when he starts to turn it around. He had a great run at Charlotte, so Jimmy Mullis, your winner tonight.
All right, good luck with that one, because we know Brandon has a track record here. Alan!
Yeah, look, we're at a new venue tonight. I try to do my research. I try to look up some historical things whenever I make my picks. Not this time, it's like throwing darts, so I'm going with what I know. Nick Ottinger, Autoboss, right? They call him. He's got victories this year. I just like, maybe he doesn't get the victory, but he's going to deliver a good finish. He's going to help me climb the standings and catch up to Camille. Plenty of time left. Come on, Nick, let's do it.
Well, Alan, I don't know about catching up to me because I also chose Nick Ottinger.
Y'all feel like y'all do this every week.
Promise you at home, we have not planned this at all. It's just that Alan likes copying me. I don't.
Yeah. It's a good strategy, Camille. It's a great strategy.
Well, it was awesome to have Blake joining us today on Countdown to Green. I know you got the race up ahead. You have to get ready for that. Alan, it's always a pleasure. And at home, make sure to stay tuned because the inaugural race for World Wide Technology Raceway is just after this break. We'll see you next time.
Your age, your name, your trophies. None of that matters this season. Just what beats under your hood. I am NASCAR.
This is virtual racing with real life stakes.
My expectation of making this championship for
Ray Alfala, it's for sure a threat to the competition. My number one goal is to get back in victory lane.
I'm gonna just go out there and control what I can control.
The road to $300,000 runs through the Gateway City, where tonight, from iRacing's virtual World Wide Technology Raceway, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to round 9 of the 2022 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. And happy as always that you're spending a Tuesday evening with us for our one and only back-to-back race of the season. It feels like just last Tuesday we were with you as we bring you up into the broadcast booth alongside myself, Evan Pasoko. Happy to be joined as always by Blake McCandless, who's doing the double tonight. Blake, disappointed I didn't hear a side-by-side out of you during pre-show, but there's time. We'll have 120 laps. We'll let you get one in. This is a unique challenge. You guys just talked about it for 30 minutes. Another new track for these Coke Series drivers to tackle our first time here on the outskirts of St. Louis.
Which, by the way, Evan, I love the mustache that you got going on right
Listen,
here.
I'm used to a week to get all dolled up and ready, right? This back-to-back's not for me.
Yeah, it's not a lot of time, but should certainly be an interesting challenge with this being the first time this series has been here.
It is going to be A1. It's unique, A, because first time we're here, but it's unique, B, because there is no other track like this on the calendar. Tell us more about it as we look at our track analysis.
Well, as a look above the World Wide Technology Raceway here at Gateway, you see it right there, a very unique racetrack, not a whole lot of banking, only just 11 degrees in 1 and 2, 9 degrees in turns 3 and 4, a relatively new facility, a long racetrack, a 1.25-mile facility here, Evan, 120 laps. It's going to be a little bit of a distance here in this race, but should provide some challenges with this next-gen car as we're going to ride here and take a lap here with our virtual Keegan Leahy simulator, I guess as we can call it. And this track, Evan, so difficult to get around. Really just kind of 1.5 grooves, and if you miss it, you're really going to suffer. You can see getting off of the corner, you're going to see a shift about right there. There you have it. These next-gen cars definitely going to be shifting at this racetrack. You get into 3 and 4, and this is where you have a little bit more wiggle room. You'll see cars ride along the curbing and almost into the grass, as we see right there, and drivers really using a lot of racetrack in 3 and 4, and then these long straightaways. Draft's going to play a big key tonight.
In turns 1 and 2, obviously the banking a little bit different than 3 and 4, but it's actually a bit of a wider turn at one end of the racetrack, tighter at the other end, so maybe some characteristics to Darlington, but the car's going to drive different at each end of the racetrack. But enough of getting you ready, let's go trackside to get tonight's action kicked off and hand things over to track owner and CEO Curtis Francois for the most famous words in motorsports.
On behalf of World Wide Technology Raceway, gentlemen, start your engines!
For the 5th time in his career, Cody Bias will start on pole. His Motorsports Ford Mustang will bring us to the green flag alongside XSET's Casey Kerwin in 2nd. Alan DeBose in the Space Station Gaming entry will start 3rd alongside the Charlotte Phoenix number 48 of Graham Bolin. Williams Esports and Vicente Salas get a top 5 starting spot alongside the birthday boy, the William Byron Esports Chevy of Logan Clampett. Dylan Alt's number 40 machine for Letard Esports to start on the inside of row 4, alongside the 2311 Racing 45 of Keegan Leahy. The second of the William Byron Chevrolet's Nick Ottinger inside row 5, starting 9th. He's alongside the Team Dylan Esports 33 of Taylor Hurst.
Looks like the pep talk worked for Garrett Lowe for the Wood Brothers. He'll start in 11th. Bobby Zielinski to his outside for JGR will roll off from the 12th spot. 13th, they'll go to Dylan Duval for Stort-Haas Esports. 14th, the E-Racer entry of Colin Bowden. 15th starter will be the other Wood Brothers entry in Blade Witt. 16th, they'll go to 2311's Mitchell DeYoung. 17th for Elliott Sadler Esports, it's Garrett Mays next to Femi Olot, your Daytona winner this season. In 18th for Clint Boyer Racing. 19th to Rise Esports and Zach Novak. And Michael Conti, strong run last week, but he'll have to come from 20th for Junior Motorsports.
Halfway home, you'll find the RFK Racing forward to Parker Retzlaff alongside the Letard Esports 36 of Brian DeBacurio. Ryan Luza in his number 4 XSET entry going to be alongside the second of the Charlotte Phoenix cars. That's the 43 of Colin Keister. Blake Reynolds in the team leading Jim Beaver Esports entry 25th tonight alongside the Rise Esports Fuel Device Sudoku 46 of Jimmy Mullis. Corey Vincent will start 27th tonight for his Team Dylan Esports entry. He'll be alongside the Elliott Sadler number 2 of Liam Brotherton. Brian LaPrade and the 88 for Junior Motorsports, and Malik Ray in the 7 will make up row 15.
Your last 2 drivers to make time, Evan, Caden Honeycutt for Roush Fenway Keselowski and Ray Alfala in 32nd for JGR. Then you look further back, Stephen Wilson for RFK, no time posted in qualifying, 33rd. Derek Bordeaux, who was confident coming in, 34th for E-Racer. 35th to Donovan Strauss for Williams Esports, 36th for iRacing Motorsports and Nick Shelton. We talked to him last week. Michael Guest going to have to come from the back here in 37th. Derek Justice for iRacing Motorsports in 38th. And Matt Busa, last week's winner, Caboose on the field this week, starting 39th for Mode Motorsports.
It is a mixed bag for Mode Motorsports tonight, but I'm sure the team boss, Kyle Long, is happy to see Cody Bias on the pole tonight. And let's bring in the 3rd member of our broadcast team, James Pike, who's dialed up your pole sitter on the radio.
First pole of the season for the Myerstown, Pennsylvania native. And Cody, we were talking just a little bit ago, and you told me that you had about 30 minutes of qualifying practice in this trim before you went out and threw down your lap. So where on earth did pole speed come from with that little time to practice it?
It's a great question. Just a great car. I mean, everyone who puts in the amount of hours each and every week on these things, and supports us with, Motorsports, Kyle Long, Joe Rodriguez, everybody who has a hand in this. I mean, it says something about how good these cars are when I can just show up for qualifying, like I said, about 30, 40 minutes ago and put it on pole. So they make my job look pretty easy, and, we'll try to stay up here. I don't know how confident I am in the race trim, but we'll do our best.
We'll let you get back to it, Cody. Thanks so much for the time, and we'll be checking into with James on pit lane as well a little bit later on as we go over the course of the night. Blake, we talked about our ASUS track analysis. Now let's take a look at the tail of the tape for the race and look at our ASUS race analysis.
You see right there, Evan, one of the longer races that we've had this year, 120 laps around this facility, a mile and a quarter, going to be 150 miles. Pit road speed here, though, a long pit road down this front straightaway down to 45 miles an hour, so you're going to lose quite a bit of time there, 23 to 26 seconds. Of course, 3 tire sets, 3 sets of Goodyear Eagles on pit road, along with the 4th set that they have on their cars right now. And that fuel window here, this is where it gets really interesting. You have long flat corners, you can lift pretty early, you're not going to lose a lot of time. So if there's any track, Evan, where fuel mileage may come into play, this may be another one.
Of course, this track is no stranger to NASCAR competition as we take a look once more with the birthday boy, Logan Clampett, looking for a little bit of birthday magic. He will start from P6 tonight, and while he and the other drivers here may not have driven this track in a next-gen Cup car in this Coke Series, this track has played host to real-world NASCAR Camping World Truck Series races almost every year since 1998, and of course, it has been a staple on the service as well. So first time at a Coke Series, not totally, though, unfamiliar. Pace car going to be in this time. The field is in the hands of Cody Bias as we say, let's go racing at Gateway. And your top three single file, first time off at turn number 2. Rita Bolin going to shake off Alan Bose. He's up a spot early. And Bose now the inside of a challenge from the 19 of Vicente Salas. That Chill Blast Williams Esports Toyota unable to make it stick on the outside of turns 3 and 4. So the 48 car stays in the number 4 spot. Up front though, Cody Bias, your pole sitter, leads lap 1.
You can see kind of everybody fighting to get into that middle lane in turns 1 and 2. But Evan, early on, I'm looking at a lot of these cars, saw a lot of fishtailing off of turn 4. We know how much these teams have set up for speed, and they've been a little bit on the looser side the last couple of weeks. I can only imagine, though, if you're loose early on in this race, it is going to be a long night for you. And we'll see as this race develops, we get a little more heat in these tires if that cool condition or loose condition continues with some of these drivers as you look Keegan Leahy side by side for the 8th position with Dylan Duvall.
And you can see aside from those top 10, nobody else really able to single file things out. They're side by side from Duvall on the back as he's able to get the better of the 45 machine of Leahy on the outside line. Of course, that end of the racetrack, turns 1 and 2, the tighter but more banked part of the racetrack. You get down to this end in 3 and 4. It's a little bit of a more broad corner. Banking gets sliced from 11 degrees at the far end of the racetrack down to 9 here. You referenced in the onboard lap with Keegan Leahy of all people that drivers might be getting down to the apron and the rumble strips to the inside at that end of the racetrack, and Leahy's having a good night so far, just trying to get up to that 41 machine and stay top 20 in the points. New race leader though, lap number 4, Casey Kerwin led it last time by, snatches it from Bias, and he takes early command here at World Wide Technology Raceway.
Well, it looks like that little bit of qualifying practice worked out for Bias. He was able to execute, but this is where that lack of race practice is really going to show up when you have so many talented drivers, much like Casey Kerwin here at the front of the field. You see 3 wide, DeYoung, Bolin, and Blake Reynolds down there on the bottom. Reynolds has been making up a lot of ground. We'll see if 3 wide works. Those cars in the upper lane in that dirty air, but they're all trapped behind Femi Olot and Garrett Maines.
And you can see the damage on the door of Garrett Maines there. There was contact last lap into turn 3. He, Michael Conti, and Femi Olot got together. It was a bit of a scare. They all held on, but that's kind of what created that big checkup and gave the damage to the left-hand side of Garrett Maines' Chevy Liner's Chevrolet Camaro. Doesn't look like it's hurting him all too much, though. Still on the inside of Blake Reynolds in the General Tire Ford Mustang for Jim Beaver Esports. The 31 with the inside on entry is able to take that spot away and defend. Speaking of defense, Bias not only lost the race lead, but he is under fire from this man, Blake Graham Bolin. Made that lap 1 pass on Alan Bose. And the Charlotte Phoenix Toyota looking for more, trying to bounce back from not a great week at Charlotte, of all places, last Tuesday.
Well, you see him trying to duck the nose out and get to where he can start to side draft and get to that left rear quarter panel of Cody Bias. Not quite able to do it right there. You have to get a really good run off the corner to be able to pass here, or else that bubble, you're going to push that car in front of you forward. So this is going to be a racetrack, Evan, where you need a really fast car. You're going to try to force people into mistakes. That's the best way you're going to be able to pass, and there's a mistake right there. A little bit of a slip up from Bias, but he's able to hold the bottom, hold the serve, and keep that second spot to himself.
So far, so good, but you are seeing Kerwin pull away by some 0.5 of a second over this group of 4 behind Bias, Bolin, Bose, Clampett, 2, 3, 4, and 5 on the racetrack right now, and actually starting to see some drivers throughout the rest of the field get single-filed out as maybe get opening there. Bias a little bit loose on corner exit. Here comes Bolin underneath, and they'll go side by side in the battle for second and third inside the money line. And through to P2 is Graham Bolin. Contact now for third. Bose gets into the door of Cody Bias as they come off 4. They hang on and still nose to nose with now Bose clear in the center of 1 and 2.
Yeah, Bias right now looks a lot looser, and he's not able to get down to the bottom. He's heating up those tires, and we've seen time and time again, kind of like Colin Bowden last week, started up front, but if you start with the loose car, it never gets better. We know these next-gen cars, you have to drive them so much on the edge. It's what made the Cup Series race at Charlotte so entertaining, but if you're Cody Bias, it makes these cars such a handful, and Bias now from 3rd back to 5th, and even Vicente Salas going to try to make a charge.
I can see Alan Bose running a very good spot, 3rd position at the moment. He is the only Space Station Racing Toyota in the field here tonight, and that's because his teammate working his day job tonight, Blake. And I know we heard this if you were listening in during Countdown to Green and heard about what Kyle Peddle does as a day job. He's actually a first officer, and you can see there's a picture of him, top left corner of the screen, that he tweeted out today, a first officer for Porter Airlines. It's his 6th straight day of flying, Blake, but my favorite thing is bottom left. That is a live look at his flight on approach, coming in for landing. So I think that's a valid excuse for not being here right now.
Yeah, I think that every once in a while the job has to take precedent, and he's not piloting an eNASCAR machine tonight, so he's up in the air, and not up in the air for too much longer. He'll be landing here in what seems like just a couple of moments. Well, I'm sure he's cheering on Alan Bose, who has a solid start to the night running P3.
And I believe that's the second of those legs going into Halifax, so flying over the homes of a couple of his fellow Coke Series competitors. He's got a thing for speed. Whether it's 200 miles an hour in a virtual stock car or 500 knots up in the plane. He's having a good time. So shout out to Kyle, and wish him safe travels until he's back with us in a couple of weeks' time. Side by side down the road with the man who we have given nothing but bad luck to the last 2 weeks, and that's Colin Bowden. He has struggled on green flag pace last couple of weeks when we've checked in on him, and right now is doing his best to hold off Taylor Hurst. Hurst has actually slid down 5 positions from where he started, but despite the inside being the place to be in most of the battles tonight, Bowden doing a good job of trying to finish him off on the outside line.
He's done a great job riding that outside, and there's such a small margin of error there, Evan. You can run that outside, and you can run it well like Bowden's doing right now, but if you barely miss that corner, you're going to wash up the racetrack and give up a ton of time. But Bowden doing about as well as you can right now, as we're going to ride on board here and give you an idea what these drivers are facing here at World Wide Technology Raceway. You can see Ryan Luza, your 2017 Series champion, trying to pull up the Blade Witt, and unfortunately for Luza, not a whole lot of clean air in front of him.
Yeah, you can see all the side-by-side up in front of him. Luza's kind of at the back of this archipelago of race cars, fighting from position 14 on back right now, and he wants to go to the inside. That 16 to Blade Witt opens up the door off of turn number 2. Luza going to go down to the inside, and this one will be a dance for 17th position, but he can't really commit to it all that much because Michael Conti, who is once again rocking the patriotic paint scheme on that WR1 Sim Chassis Chevrolet for Junior Motorsports again this weekend, coming off of the Memorial Day long weekend. Conti doing a good job of defending there. He is up 4 positions, and now Luza going to have a real opportunity to try to go back down and make that position. But as we continue racing into the night here at World Wide Technology Raceway, I want to bring back in our Grand Marshal, Curtis Francois, who first off got us going in a great way. Curtis, we appreciate that, and thanks so much for the time. Of course, we're looking forward to a real exciting weekend of NASCAR racing at the Speedway. Just tell us, what is a day in the life for you being the CEO and owner of a racetrack like?
Well, I'm the owner of the racetrack, and I'm the president of the racetrack, and I actually purchased the racetrack about a decade ago. So we've been working hard for the last 10 years to make our racing happen here and play a role in all things racing at World Wide Technology Raceway.
Well, it's a week of firsts. First eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series race here virtually at your track. It's also going to be the first NASCAR Cup Series race at the racetrack this upcoming weekend. What can fans expect?
Well, anybody that's been to World Wide Technology Raceway in the past knows that we are a fan-first racetrack, and so there will be so many different things going on during the day that is just going to be unique. I think one of them is going to be our Confluence Music Festival. We have over 30 artists that are going to be at the racetrack performing on 5 different stages. I think it's just going to be a great opportunity for fans to engage with the track that way. But something I'm really proud of that's going to be fun for the fans is to come through our fan walk on their way to the new fan zone. The fan walk will take them right next to the garages so they can see their favorite drivers and crew members working right on the car, so that'll be a neat opportunity for people to do that, as well as they come into the fan zone. There'll be so many different activities going on within that area, and bands and all of the fun things that go along with that offering. The other part that's super cool is for folks that are visiting and are coming to our Midway, World Wide Technology, our partner, will be offering an augmented reality display that is something that the fans can actually participate with, and that is directly aimed at the racing business. So that'll be a neat opportunity, and I'm telling you, there's so much more. It'll take me the rest of the afternoon to tell you everything. It's going to be a great afternoon on June 5th.
We're looking forward to catching it live if we're there in person, or for those of us who are going to be tuning in, looking forward to a real exciting race weekend. Thanks so much, Curtis, for your time. Again, that is our special guest on tonight's broadcast, Curtis Francois, the CEO and owner of World Wide Technology Raceway. And of course, want to remind you, if you want to stay up to date with the latest news and updates from the world of eNASCAR, sign up today by scanning the QR code in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, and you'll stay up to date with iRacing, the official simulation partner of NASCAR. On board with Parker Retzlaff, but he is under fire right now as the challenge comes underneath, courtesy of Malik Ray. 3 wide down the back straightaway and through the middle. Retzlaff stays on the throttle, survives for now, but that's M-Seat's Ford Mustang. Malik Ray going to try again, and they'll be side by side off turn 4.
And they actually queued up over the chat. There was a little bit of contact that right before we got on board there between Ray and Retzlaff getting into turn 1. You can see Malik Ray and his unique rig right there, but you see there's a whole group of cars here, Evan, that are just really making their way through the field quite quickly. Malik Ray now up to 21st. He started back in 30th. Derek Bordeaux, who's just behind this battle, started in 34th. He's up to 24th. So we're seeing a lot of separation here tonight. These next-gen cars have created very similar speeds, but I think with the degree of difficulty in this racetrack and how much a good versus a bad handling car will hurt you here or help you, we're starting to see that if you have a fast car, you're really able to make your way through the field.
That's going to be the key, as this race has been incident-free through the first 22 laps of this one. Graham Bolin eyeing the race lead to the inside, side by side for the top position. Kerwin has led the last 19 strong, but Graham Bolin has been chasing him down, and they are on each other's door, fighting for the race lead, James.
And Graham Bolin was really frustrated behind Cody Bias earlier on in this race. His crew had to calm him down, but once he got past Bias, he started to click off consistent laps, and his spotter and crew chief constantly reminded him, you're the fastest car on track by a half a tenth. That's continued. He's run down Casey Kerwin from over a second back, now taking the race lead, and he's still all in his own zip code so far as lap time goes. Looks like Graham Bolin's got a lot of wrong run speed.
And he has gone to the race lead. He now the third different driver to lead a lap so far here tonight. It has been a strange year, Blake, for Graham Bolin. He has 3 top 3 finishes. He's also got 4 finishes outside of the top 24. Looking for some consistency and into the race lead early from iRacing's virtual Worldwide Technology Raceway. It is Graham Bolin on top of the board.
There's a reputation on the track, being built this very minute.
He's made his own history.
One that embraces the crazy.
Oh my goodness.
The fast. And the unpredictable.
Everyone's gonna win it at the line.
That looks into the eye of the competition and screams, bring it. Loud enough so the whole world will see it coming. I am the NASCAR Xfinity Series. I am NASCAR.
And back live from iRacing's virtual World Wide Technology Raceway, where coverage of tonight's race is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. By Asus, the official PC and monitor of eNASCAR. And by Logitech G. Through design, engineering, and love of driving games, Logitech G takes racing simulation to another level. Logitech G, the official wheel and pedal set of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. A good look high above this racetrack in Madison, Illinois, with the St. Louis skyline on the horizon. You're watching race leader Graham Bolin, who was opened up now at 0.8 of a second advantage over second-place runner Casey Kerwin after they made that pass just before we stepped aside for the first time this afternoon. So Bolin, Kerwin, Bose, Salas, and Ottinger inside of the top 5. And if you want to stay up to date with everything eNASCAR, for more information on the series schedule, standings, and even how to be a part of that Road to Pro ladder and drive in this series one day, you can find all of that information and more at iRacing.com/eNASCAR. That is your home for all things eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series this season. Looking through the field and some of the drivers who have been trying to go up and down. Dylan Alt, you're looking at the Wendy's number 40 Chevrolet right now. He's trying to chase down Logan Clampett's number 97. Somebody else who's had a bit of an adventurous evening is Corey Vincent. Started back in 27th. He's up to 24th. Let's go on board with him with your Coca-Cola onboard camera. Well, from that onboard, Blake, you're the driver analyst of the two of us. Anything you picked up on, listen into what Corey Vincent's doing behind the wheel of the 3 as we look up and follow the battle with the 19 of Salas?
Well, it's about what I expected, Evan. You're definitely going to downshift right as you get into turn 1, and a lot of these drivers thinking about conserving those rear tires, because if you're shifting at both ends of the racetrack, obviously you're going to have a lot more turn. It's really going to wear out those rear tires. So downshifting as soon as you get into 1 and 2, but then letting the RPMs run low in 3 and 4 so that you're not overdoing it, you're not cooking those rear tires, because that's another thing that, talking to some of these guys before the race, was a huge concern, was the amount of tire fall off here is a lot more than what we've seen in a lot of the mile-and-a-half tracks.
Also a longer race than what we've been seeing, right? Tonight's race, same mileage as what we saw at Charlotte last week, but that race at Charlotte last Tuesday was 1/4 distance of the NASCAR Cup Series race. This race here, 1/2 distance of what you'll see this Sunday when the stars of the NASCAR Cup Series head to World Wide Technology Raceway. As we scan for battles, looking at the battle for 17th position, Colin Keister, Mitchell DeYoung, Blade Witt, Blake Reynolds, all here in the high teens. Colin Keister, impressive. He is up 7 positions. Everybody else back here in the red, really, Blake. So Colin's doing a good job of working through the field as this green flag run continues, and he spies another driver to the inside of Dylan Alt, and for Colin Keister now, make it +8.
Keister doing a solid job right there, and Dylan Ault, unfortunately, that biggie bag is a little loose right now. And we've seen a number of cars that, especially as we get to lap 35 almost of this run, there is a huge difference this week than what we've seen in past iterations of this series between short run and long run speed. And right now, Colin Keister and a number of others really showcasing that long run speed. Unfortunately, Ault loses another spot to Mitchell DeYoung, and they're nearly wrecking on the front straightaway. Derek Bordeaux, hard contact with Blake Reynolds. They saved it, but both drivers a heavy amount of damage, but they keep it going straight. This was just behind this battle.
They both went into the inside pit wall, but no yellow, so we stay green. And now Bordeaux spinning again on the back straightaway. He'll save it as you go on board with Mitchell DeYoung. So chaos and big issues for the 42. Somebody who's not struggling. Mitchell there, you see a bit of a crack of a smile for the driver of the Logitech entry as we go on board with him. And yeah, there's Derek Bordeaux. Damaged, missed the pit lane entry road, and he is going to barely get down there. It is a good point, though, to bring up, like, aside for the challenges for the 42, that access road, that's going to be big if we have green flag pit service. Haven't mentioned that tonight, and you don't see it at a lot of racetracks as we look at the battle between the 4 and the 21.
This is going to be a tough place to get down because you can lose so much time. You saw right there Bordeaux out of control, I believe had a little bit of suspension damage, and apparently it is terminal as Bordeaux has already left the race and retired. So got a little bit of suspension damage from that contact that he and Blake Reynolds had on the front straightaway. Amazing job by both those drivers not to lose control of that race car, but obviously something that Bordeaux, he couldn't even keep it out of the grass on the access road. So a tough break there for the 42.
Let's take a second look and see what happened here with the 42 of Derek Bordeaux. Before all of this happened, right here, when he was fighting, this was a fight for a top 20 spot. And then as they come off the corner, you see the 15 underneath, pushes up into him a little bit. There's one hit. There's the second where he gets a majority of the damage. And then it took him a whole lap of limping and nearly spinning it every single time to get back down to the pit lane. It is worth noting that he has Kyle Busch'd the race car. He's just drove it right to the garage stall. His night is done. So Derek Bordeaux, the first driver out of tonight's race. All other 38 cars still in it and still, in fact, on the lead lap at this point. As you see Parker Retzlaff in the 6 machine trying to chase down the 75 of Matt Busa. Busa's an interesting point here, Blake, because his teammate started on pole. Busa did not take a time in qualifying, was assigned dead last, 39th on the grid, and he has driven his way past about half the field right now to P24.
It's been an amazing drive for Matt Busa starting that far back, and at least at this point in the race, we're nearly a third of the way through and already up to 24th. So no doubt Busa has a fast car, could probably use a yellow or two to maybe bunch things up and get back up here. But guys, Nick Ottinger, he is on the charge at the moment. Ottinger that last time, a little bit faster, a lot faster than Casey Kerwin, nearly 2/10, and he's about a 10th better than Graham Bolin.
little update from Nick Ottinger here. On the whole, pretty happy with this car. He's a little free, but a little bit tight when he gets into the throttle on corner exit, but that's also because he says he's driving aggressively on exit. He's struggling from the center to the 5/8 mark, being a little bit through 3 and the same thing in 3 and 4, but he said he wouldn't change the car much, if anything, just a little bit to keep up the track as it evolves over the course of this stretch. Largely, very happy Nick Ottinger.
Yeah, it was a good perspective we saw from his Logitech G onboard camera. He's still trying to get around Casey Kerwin as we have a little bit of pit action on the pit lane. That was a quick glance at Liam Brotherton, and Ottinger now way to the inside off at turn 4 as he took a big swing at getting underneath Casey Kerwin, and this time he breaks through. So up to second is Nick Ottinger. That's the highest he's been tonight. And talking about a little bit of strategy, some drivers on the fresh tires working. Garrett Lowe was the first driver to come down pit road. That was 2 laps ago at the 1/3 distance marker in this race. He has lost his lead lap status, but he does have fresh rubber, Blake, and check out the difference as he catches up to some of the cars in the top 5.
You're going to see Garrett Lowe here. The tire fall off is drastic here at this racetrack. You can just see blowing by these guys like they're standing still as Garrett Lowe and Liam Brotherton right now, your lone 2 cars that have pit. And Evan, we talked about it in the pre-race show. There are plenty of different ways to try and go to victory lane this year. Well, this is a strategy that they're implementing, so they're going to try to put this race into 3 segments and run 40-lap segments, so they're going to pit twice, and I'm imagining the rest of this field will see them come down in about 15 laps, and that'll be 1 pit stop. I didn't do the math myself, but I would imagine that I just don't know if this is going to work. It's a nice way to do an alternate strategy, and if you get a yellow around lap 70 or 75, this probably works, but interesting to see how this shakes out. So 2 stoppers, at least for Garrett Lowe and Liam Brotherton, but right now nobody else has made their way on the pit road just yet.
They are the only takers, and after the 95 of Kerwin got passed by Ottinger, now he has to deal with Vicente Salas. So the Williams Esports Toyota Camry up and underneath, a little bit loose that time for both of those cars off of turn number 4, and the advantage is to Kerwin on the top side, but I just think that 95 struggling on this long run, and there it is. The 19 is through and clear as more takers head down to pit road. That is Dylan Alt on pit road in the number 40 machine. So 3 takers now working lap number 46, and I'm not surprised a guy like a Garrett Lowe would go for something like this, Blake, because he's got a race win. We know how critical that is, but he is the lowest of your race winners, right? He's 15th in the normal standings. That ranks him then 6th in the playoff standings. So if we were to get 5 more race winners at the end of the regular season, there's a chance somebody with a race win gets bumped. Right now, Garrett Lowe would be the lowest and most vulnerable of your race winners this year. So I'm curious if that's an influence on the strategy for the 21 car.
Well, it's a catch-22, right? You have that one in your back pocket. It allows you a little bit of freedom to try things like this, but if it doesn't work right now, you're a lap down, and you're exactly right. You're going to fall potentially out of the top 20, and not only that, we've had so many different winners this year, you're going to have to worry about whether they come on back. We'll see Colin Bowden right here, Evan. One of my favorite things we get to see is what does Colin Bowden have in the background or at least tonight, Western Conference Finals, NHL, a little bit of Colorado Avalanche and Edmonton Oilers, it looks like.
I will not confirm or deny if I've also been keeping track on the same hockey game as him. But I will say, if you're from the Rocky Mountain State, you're having a good time right now in that Game 1 matchup for the Western Conference Final. Colin mentioned he doesn't watch regular season, but he loves the playoffs. I will vouch as the resident Canadian in the booth. You got to watch playoff hockey, man. It's good stuff. So good to see everybody making use of their time, but it's good news for Colin Bowden that he can't really pay too much attention to it because he's having a decent drive so far here tonight as we jump back inside of the battle, just outside, in fact, of the top 10. Logan Clampett is 11th, and he is the head of this train right now. You got Bias, then Conti, Bowden, DeYoung, all stacked up, even Keister waiting in the wings. So a 6-car battle for what is outside of the top 10 right now. These drivers about 8 seconds off of the race leader.
And hard to try and make up a little bit of that time being in traffic, you see a little bit of dirty air coming into play. Cody Bias has really settled in. We saw him lose a number of spots there at the drop of the green flag, but this is kind of where he settled. Michael Conti has looked bad fast through this portion of the field and has been working his way slowly forward, as we have seen in these next-gen cars all season long. You take a ride right there, you see Nick Shelton, one of those drivers that for iRacing Motorsports 7 that I thought would consider that two-stop strategy along with Derek Justice, but I'm going to try and at least ride it out for now. We know these drivers can make it to about 70 or so laps on fuel, so you can also kind of try to stretch it a little bit far. And Nick Shelton, former Coke Series winner, worked his way through the Contender Series last year. I was actually a teammate of his, so he did a little bit better than I did.
Feels like we're watching OB Show, Brian Schoenberg drive, the way that Nick Shelton is up and on the wheel there in the battle for 32nd and 31st, fighting against Jimmy Mullis right now in a nice-looking number 14 iRacing Ford Mustang, painted by iRacing Cisco Scarmuza, who I know he and Drew do a lot to make sure those cars look good, and the 14 looking real nice right now on the racetrack, and hoping maybe that a little bit of strategy can kick in to help out Shelton, because, I mean, he's back there with some big names, right? Mullis, you got Reynolds, you got a whole bunch of guys back there who are looking for more. And they have all kind of been in the 20s or so tonight. There's a peek at the 33 machine of Taylor Hurst. He is just off of pit road now, and the SCW Chevrolet, so that means now 4 drivers total have opted to come down to the pit lane. I suspect that number will increase excrementally once we get to the halfway point. That's at about 7 laps or so. You mentioned 70 is your safe number. We're in the window to make it to the end of the race, but certainly I think once we get halfway, that pit strategy is going to increase exponentially and tenfold, and we'll see a big rush to pit road. One driver who's thinking about, do I go early or later, is Nick Ottinger, right? We saw the pass, Blake. He was able to get into second. What you haven't seen is a challenge for the race lead, and that's because Graham Bolin is 3 seconds ahead of him for the race lead. So Bolin checking out right now, having led the last 31 laps of this race consecutively.
You see Ottinger able to make up a good chunk of time right there and try to make his way back about 3.5 seconds, but Graham Bolin has just been on another level. You see Blake Reynolds starting to make his trip onto pit road right now, and this is what I was going to talk about, Evan. Short pitting and getting track position is going to be the name of the game, so no shocker at all to see, I think, depending on where you are, you're probably going to want a short pit, and we've seen the massive difference in tires. Nearly 2 seconds from the beginning to the end of the run where they are right now. Even Garrett Lowe, a second faster right now than Graham Bolin, and he pit about 10, 12 laps ago. So there is a big difference. Wouldn't be shocked to see too many short pit. We see Keegan Leahy doing it as well.
Yeah, that's a big pit stop for Keegan Leahy. We talked a lot about him last week, trying to get back and above the relegation bubble. Also going to be coming down pit road this time. There is the number 9 car coming down pit road, so Michael Guest also down and in for service. It's pretty unanimous what is happening on pit road. 4 tires and fuel. Blade Witt says that he's going to be coming down to the pit lane this time through. We saw a quick glimpse of Bobby Zelensky into the top 4 for the first time tonight. He is up 8 positions from the start. Your biggest movers, Ryan Luza plus 17, Malik Ray plus 16, and your biggest of all, Matt Busa plus 22 in the midfield as more drivers are down. DeYoung, Wilson, Witt, a trio down onto the pit lane, 4 laps shy of halfway home.
They might be listening to the broadcast. This is the short pitters trying to get that little bit of track position, get a little bit of clean air to help in their battle. You see Dylan Alt, again, he's on much fresher tires than the rest of the field. Dylan Duval, as well as Ryan Luz on those older tires and going to fall back just a little bit. So if this continues to cycle through, Evan, there's a little bit of a window here where these drivers that really short pit have an opportunity to perhaps leapfrog the field. You see Conti getting everything he can. There's so much time to be won and lost here at this pit entry with this access road. These drivers, I'm surprised we haven't seen one kind of overstep it yet and get into the grass, aside from Bordeaux, who had a damaged car. But as we see this cycle play out, this is going to be a difficult pit road to get on because there's so much time to be gained and lost.
Yeah, it's 2 seconds a lap faster instantly. Your race leader, Graham Bolin, last lap a 36.381. His best lap when he had fresh tires early in the race, a 4.22. So instantly 2 seconds better, and that's going to wane a little bit, but you mentioned a couple laps into a run, you're still a second faster than old tires, so certainly there is an advantage to pitting earlier. When you take a look at your last pit stop lap under Coca-Cola scoring pylon, top 20, still yet to come down to the pit lane. It is still a majority of the field that we are waiting on to see this one cycle through. Liam Brotherton with first two pitted, the lead driver of those who have come in for service, with the exception of Garrett Lowe, I guess I should say. Lowe, I think, may be the net leader on that call in 21st position, as here comes the 25 down it on pit road. So Nick Ottinger is in. This is a big swing for the driver at the 25 Chevrolet. He gives up P2, and now my question is, are we going to see Graham Boland respond? What are Salas and Zelensky also now in the top three going to do in response to him? Casey Kerwin also in the number 4 spot. The number 95 car looking low, and he's going to head down to the access road. He'll follow Bobby Zelensky down pit road. So a lot of big takers coming in for service right on the money, halfway home, lap number 59, James.
Yeah, we've had a lot of drivers in the top 5 that have been really happy with their cars. I don't think the same can be said for Casey Kerwin, who said, and I quote, "I'm plowing my face off in turns 1 and 2, and everyone can get back to the gas 3 car lengths earlier than me. Doesn't feel like there's a good braking point over there. Has been struggling to try and find the optimal entry, so they're going to try and free up that car a little bit, but he doesn't want to free it up so much that he might lose it in the center of 3 and 4, which is also a concern that he raised. So Kerwin's still trying to search for what he needs as Graham Boland comes down to pit road for the race lead.
And a caution flag just as your race leader, Graham Boland, made it onto pit road. I believe he made it before the yellow flag came out, which means he should be allowed to complete his pit service. But this is really going to mess up your running order, because at the moment of caution, Zach Novak's number 5, the race leader. But I think the bigger story here to keep in mind is that there's only 17 drivers who have yet to come down pit road, so more than half of the field have already completed service, and Novak under yellow, Blake, just going to bring it in. I mean, not even going to wait for the pit cycle. He needs to come in now.
Is he out of fuel? He
just
looks
a strange
really
call
slow,
because I believe he's going to get a penalty for pitting before the pace car picks him up. The car is now under power again. There are more drivers down pit road, so it feels like they may have been right on their number. All these cars under power, but a lot of them were clutching on that access road to get here.
So they're all going to come in, and Evan, this was something that happened. So at the moment of caution, we had a number of drivers. We had Vicente Salas come in after the yellow flag was flown. Same thing for Ryan Luza, Dylan Duval. We saw Cody Bias actually went around and avoided pit road to not get a penalty, same as Logan Clampett. So I think that's another 3 drivers that they entered a closed pit, so they're going to be put at the tail end of the field. And so many of them couldn't make it back around. Oh man, this is what a scenario this is going to set up, because so many drivers, they had no option. They couldn't make it another lap around before running out of fuel. So this is really going to shake things up.
And I think the driver who gets the luckiest in all of this again is Graham Boland. The caution flag came out, which closed pit road entry when he was 2.5 car lengths past the commitment cone. At that point, he was clear to complete his service. If he had pitted 2 seconds later, he would have been stuck down. Let's take a look at the pit lane entry. Watch as that blue number 48 of Boland comes through. He's in, yellow's out. There goes the red light, right? Boland was good. 1, 2, 3 other drivers, Duval, Luza, 2 of them, they are forced to come in because the pit wall's already there, Blake. Those 2 behind, Bias and the Logitech entry of Clampett, were able to go through the dirt to get back onto the racetrack to avoid the penalty. But a great look there at how lucky Graham Boland was and how unlucky the 3 cars behind him were.
I'm sorry, that's just an amazing call by the spotter to try and help them out. That is heads-up driving right there, and I know that if you're a driver, that's unfair, that's unfortunate, But it's just one of those things in racing that if you enter after the pit road is already closed, and it's so tough here because you have that pit wall and the access road, it's very hard to miss it, but that's just about as unlucky as it can happen, which, sometimes that's racing.
So through all of that, despite the fact that you thought it would be bad for Bolin, Bolin is going to maintain the race lead. Let's take a look, though, at what happened to bring out this yellow. You're watching the 46 of Jimmy Bullis to the inside of Garrett Maines. The run down to turn number 1. They're both damaged from previous contact that he just missed it by a mile and absolutely wiped out the 31.
It looks like he got a little hot into one, and when he hit the brakes, we know how well the brakes work on this car. Well, guess what? It locked up the left front, went right into Garrett Maines above him, and unfortunate for him because it's his teammate that's going to get the raw end of that deal because of that. And of course, Garrett Maines, an innocent bystander, he had a little bit of damage already, and that's certainly not going to help things on that 31 car.
I mean, there's big drivers who lose out here. Alan Bose, who pitted 5 laps ago, started this race 3rd. He's now 28th. Casey Kerwin started this race 2nd. He pitted 4 laps ago. He is now 26th. Nick Ottinger, 23rd from a top 10 spot. So those drivers who were on pit road already and gave up a lap by getting that service really get the short end of the straw here, and this has completely shaken up the running order in your top 10. It's Bolin, Leahy, Novak, Bias, Clampett, the top 5.
And well, and we have 22nd on back that took a wave around to unlap themselves. So they're on old tires. They're catching up to the tail end of the field. You see only about the top 20 side by side.
Green flag back in the air as we run down with 56 laps left to go at World Wide Technology Raceway. Bolin cleared for the race lead. Here comes Novak inside Leahy in the battle for second. Give it to the 5 Chevrolet.
It looks like a lot of the field was still trying to catch their way up, but Bolin knew that. He took advantage of it, and he took off early. You see Cody Bias right there, saved by this. Gets a little bit of track position out of it. Clampett, Bias, those two that bailed out on the pit road entry. And also getting a word from race control, there was a little bit of discussion of whether those black flags would be cleared. Tyler Hudson says, no, that's just racing. So those drivers that entered a closed pit, they suffer the consequences of it. Even though it's tough luck, that's just the way it is.
It's tough, but I think it's the correct call. Otherwise, they would have gained a significant advantage from pitting under the caution flag. So it's a tough break. It's the raw end of the deal, but it is part of racing, and it's unfortunate that it's going to put those drivers back in the pack. They're going to really need to work hard this second half to catch back up. Haven't talked a ton about Briar LaPrade tonight, but he is somebody else who really benefited from the timing of the yellow. He started this race back in 29th position. He is up to 11th right now and looking for more. Bit of a check up in front of him. That's the 21 Garrett Lowe jumping out of line. Everybody else in unison staying on the outside.
LaPrade's done a solid job here, was a beneficiary of that strategy. You see Malik Gray as well, who early on in the race had a lot of speed, got a little bit of damage, but is solidly running right now in the 6th position. We've seen him have a number of strong runs here recently, and there you have it. Garrett Lowe also timed this out well. He actually pitted way early, unlapped himself, and ended up in a good spot to where he's running in 11th. So solidly worked out for Garrett Lowe to be able to gain that track position.
And the craziest thing of all, Garrett Lowe only +2 from where he started. Matt Busa behind him, +29 positions. A little bit further up the road, Malik Ray +24. Corey Vincent +20. I mean, there are really some drivers who have lucked out and now have a great opportunity to make something happen with this. As we take a step back and look at the battle for 13th position right now, lose it clear of it all. It's the 41 of Dylan Duvall underneath the 12 machine of Derek Justice, the 17 of Caden Honeycutt in the midst as well, as we go on board with Justice in the 12 Ford up top, trying to hang on, but that 17 machine, good stuff from Honeycutt, trying to get clear though, doesn't have the speed he needs down the back straightaway, and the 12 is going to try to hang tight, but for how long?
Well, Honeycutt, a little bit of rear end damage. He's going to slide up in front of Justice, and good for Derek Justice. Obviously, last in the points, just hasn't been the type of year that I'm sure he wanted, but gets a little bit of a beneficiary of strategy here. Falls back to 17th as they go to turn 1. Teammates side by side, and oh man, they nearly hit there between Liam Brotherton and Garrett Maines.
That's the one rule, is don't get into your teammate, and those two just about touched in the run down to turn number 1. And the 2-car of Brotherton stays in front for the moment. I don't think he's really that happy that Garrett keeps putting the nose on the inside, and finally that 31 Chevrolet will tuck in line. He'll stay ahead of Mullis as the driver who's ahead of all of this chaos is Honeycutt. Honeycutt got passed up by Vicente Salas that last lap, but you're looking back to the battle with Justice, Shelton, Brotherton, and company. Is way to the outside goes Garrett Maines, and Jimmy Mullis will slide on through, making the pass for position number 20. In front of them as well, a bit of action. Ryan Luza trying to get around the 88 machine of Brian LaPrade. So a lot going on right here outside of the top 10 as we are inside of 50 laps to go. And somebody who we have not talked a ton about here tonight right there, the 51 car Blake of Ray Alfala on the doorstep of a top 10.
It's been a long time coming here for old 4-time. He has a little bit of rear end damage, but hasn't slowed him up too much. Trying to hang on to the back end of the top 10. Matt Moose's in front of him. You can see Ryan Luza right behind him. But yeah, solid run here for Ray Alfala. This is the type of run that can really turn this season around as we get into the summer months and really start to go to a lot of unique racetracks. So we're obviously at World Wide Technology tonight. Go to a couple of road courses, Nashville Super Speedway. So not your kind of lay of the land, mile and a half. This is a good portion of the schedule for Alfala to turn things around.
And he's coming off of his best finish of the year, a P5 last week at Charlotte. Let's go on board and take in the sights and sounds of iRacing's virtual World Wide Technology Raceway. This is iRacing Full Throttle. And you were looking at a two-way battle for the race lead, this time by with 43 laps to go. Graham Bolin has led a race-high 54 laps. Zach Novak has led 2, and they are both more than 2.3 seconds ahead of the next closest race car. Does the 5 have anything for that Charlotte Phoenix Toyota?
I think Novak, with how he's been able to maintain right here, we've kind of seen Graham Bolin, once he gets in the lead, he's able to drive off into the distance. But Novak applying that pressure, and despite the fact he's in dirty air, Evan, has been able to maintain and not let that gap stretch out. So I think Novak may be able to put up a fight to him. Finished second last week, did Zach, and looking to get one spot better here at World Wide Technology Raceway.
He has his 3 best finishes of the season in his last 3 starts. P5 at Dover, 6th at Kansas, runner-up at Charlotte. Looking to take that extra step. How big would a win be for the driver of that 5 machine? Novak trying to become the 7th different race winner this year. Trying to get back to where he was back in 2019 and fight for a championship. Back in the battle with Liam Brotherton and Nicholas Shelton. Shelton just ahead of this duo as Ottinger's 25 gets a little bit squirrely, trying to clear Brotherton in the battle for 19th on back. Remember, Ottinger was up towards the front of the field in this race, got caught out on the pit strategy, trying to work his way back through. He clears the 2 car, and Bobby Zelensky is somebody else who's in that same boat, Blake. We were talking on pit stops. Look at Zelensky coming. He drove his way up to 4th after starting this race 12th. Right now, dealing with 20th after being stuck on the wrong end of that one and only yellow. And he is on the inside of Liam Brotherton, who's working hard. You can see him leaning into those corners on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen.
You see how close these drivers get. They know every bit of side draft that they can have down the straightaway. Helps a little bit, and boy, Zelensky washing up the racetrack a little bit, and Kerwin's trying to push him by. Oh, a little contact there down the back straightaway. Does Kerwin right behind him try to go 3? Zelensky will shut that door, but Kerwin just wants somebody to prevail in this battle so he can go on through.
You saw the onboard there with Brotherton. You saw the counter steer as it was getting loose off the turn, and he door slammed, and now more contact there as Kerwin pushes the 2 car up and into the outside wall, and Liam Brotherton getting bullied in the fight for 20th on the back. Zelensky through, Kerwin through, Mullis through, and the 2 car slips down to 23rd.
Well, and you see Brotherton right there. Welcome to the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Rookie of the year at this juncture, but these guys, they don't mess around up here, and they will teach you some lessons here, especially if you're new to this series.
He was the only rookie inside of the top 20 in points, part of a rookie class that's nearly a quarter of the field, James.
Indeed he is. I've been watching Vicente Salas for the last, call it 10, 15 laps or so, and he's a very, very frustrated driver right now. He was one of the ones that got caught out on pit road, got caught coming down pit road before the light changed and ended up with a penalty, and ever since then it's been a lot of frustration through the radio, a lot of constant reminders to calm down, and very frustrated being what he feels like is held up behind Dylan Duval. He said, either quit parking it in the corner or let me go. I don't care what kind of friendships you have with the drivers ahead of you. If I'm faster than you, let me pass you. So Vicente trying to make moves to get back up to around 4th or 5th where he was before the penalty, but it hasn't come easily, and he's just gotten hotter and hotter under the collar.
And part of a good battle here with the likes of Keegan Leahy and others. Somebody else, though, who is having a positive run is Logan Clampett. And again, I cannot stress enough, Blake, we've talked about this several times, that it is feast or famine for Logan Clampett. In his 8 starts so far this year, he has 2 finishes of 7th, the other 6, 34th or worse. He doesn't have a midfield day. It's either a great night or a bad night.
And it's something we're uncharacteristic of seeing out of Logan Clampett, who's been around the series for such a long time and nearly won the championship last year driving through the field at Texas. Did a tremendous job there, and you can see right there, even the last 3 races specifically, 36th or worse in all 3 races. So Clampett, much needed effort right here. Sure, you'd like to go up and challenge with Novak and Bolin, who are getting even closer here in these last couple of laps. But Clampett, I think he'll definitely take home a solid P3 tonight.
Yeah, he is some 62 points behind the relegation bubble for the top 20. So Logan Clampett really wants to get through this one with a good points night. Boost, on the other hand, you take a look at this battle from the 75 car on back, just inside of the top 10. We referenced earlier how different the race started for each of these Mode Motorsports Ford Mustangs. Of course, the team headed by Kyle Long, that 24 machine started on pole. The 75 started dead last, and at lap 87, they are side by side in a battle for position, and on the bottom, Busa is going to get the job done and take away P6. What a drive for the 75.
Going to get through to 7th, now 6th, as Busa will go on by. And this just goes to show you, it doesn't matter where you start, it matters how you finish, it matters how you execute right here. Bias still really loose, as we've seen him all night. Retzlaff for Roush Fenway's Keselowski. And by the way, Parker Retzlaff, a tremendous job that he's done running for RSS Racing in the NASCAR Xfinity Series this year. It's been incredible to watch the drive that he's had, but just hasn't been able to replicate that same success here in this series so far this year. So very nice to see him running up in 7th. I'm sure RFK very happy to see that number 6 Ford up front.
He's done a lot through the years, right? Through the K&N Pro Series East and West, the ARCA Menard Series in both 2020 and 2021, and then in his 4 starts so far this year in the Xfinity Series has shown a lot of promise with an average start of inside of the top 15. So good stuff to see out of him. Success both on the sim and in the real world. And talking about your pole sitter, it was a short-lived campaign in the clean air for Cody Bias. He led the opening 2 laps of this race, Blake, but has slid back since and is all the way down now to P12. Dylan Duvall just now passing him.
Able to get on by, and another development, Derek Justice lost a ton of spots just a lap or 2 ago, and he's nearly having contact with Michael Conti as they race up through the field. But we see what Salas is able to do, finally able to get that target, get on by, and Salas has a quick enough car. He can maybe get up to 7th or 8th depending on how they're racing in front of him. You see them kind of darting around and having a pretty sporty race up here for around that 7th or 8th position. Retzlaff gets past, and Garrett Lowe goes on by.
Able to go on through as the battle just outside of the top 10 continues, though. This time, 30 laps to go for iRacing's virtual World Wide Technology Raceway. Graham Bolin leads. You're watching round 9 of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series.
Your age, your name, your trophies. None of that matters this season. Just what beats under your hood. I am NASCAR.
And back live in Madison, Illinois, coverage of tonight's race brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of the eNASCAR. By Asus, the official PC and monitor of the eNASCAR. and by Logitech G. Through design, engineering, and a love of driving games, Logitech G takes racing simulation to another level. Logitech G, the official wheel and pedal set of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. 26 laps left to go at round number 9 of this eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Graham Boland still in control as we go on board with Donovan Strauss looking up the road to Michael Conti and Alan Bowes in a battle for 24th and 25th. Again, so many drivers stuck playing catch-up from that one and only yellow in the middle of the green flag pit cycle that happened at halfway home, and here comes Strauss under the 8 car trying to get another spot back.
He was a little loose right there getting off the corner. As you see Strauss able to collect it on up. One thing about Strauss, though, I know you can't really see it, but I think just by his facial expression, I mean, you could just see him gripping. That is a death grip on that steering wheel, which not a surprise with this rack pinion steering at a track where it's so sensitive. These drivers definitely hanging onto their wheels pretty tight.
Zelensky's somebody else who was on track to have a real good finish in this one, trying to play a little bit of catch up, and the timing of this yellow as well was interesting late because we saw some drivers thinking about a 2-stopper. Most people were going to go to the halfway point, and you can see just the expression out of Michael Conti's face, how he feels about all of this. But when everybody pitted under yellow is when they would have pitted under green anyway. So you're going to see a maximum fuel, a maximum tire into the end. You see loose race cars, they are going to be handling like absolute junk by the time we get down to the end, as he thinks about going inside of mains but doesn't.
Able to get there, and again, these drivers are going to be just on that edge of making it on fuel to be able to get to the end, James.
Zach Novak, I wouldn't necessarily call it a white flag, but he just came over the radio a few laps ago and said, I just don't have anything for Graham. I'm just going to try and be patient and see if he comes back to me, but he doesn't feel like he has the pace to catch Graham Boland. Meanwhile, it's a little bit slightly different story for Logan Clampett. He figured at some point the drivers ahead of him would fall off. They haven't, but his crew chief got on the radio and said, just keep doing what you're doing. We can only control what we can control, but you're better than everyone else in front of you and the fastest car on the track. He then said, I might be able to get Zach. I don't know if I can get Graham, but I might be able to fight for P2.
So he feels like he can get there to Novak as we watch the battle with the 24, the 14, and company. Last we gave you intervals. It was Novak 3/10 off Boland. They were then 2.3 up on everybody else, but it is now clearly Boland's race, and Zach Novak has slipped to more than 1.2 seconds behind him as Alan Bowes completes the pass on the number 24 machine, that time down the front straightaway. You saw the 14 dart out of the shot. Wasn't wrecking. Nicholas Shelton just pulled over and out of the way. He was able to catch that race car, but disappeared for a moment. Thought, where'd the 14 car go? He's still there. Just tucked a couple of cars back in line. He's just beyond Michael Conti in this group of race cars. I should look it off at the back of Alan Bowes, the driver out of Lima, Ohio. Right here, midfield. Again, I don't think anybody at this part of the racetrack has gotten more than 4 car lengths apart of the next closest car at any point tonight. There has been constant action at this spot in the running order.
There really has. Everybody going side by side. You see another battle right there as you see Busa and Corey Vincent right now battling for a spot inside the top 5. And actually, that's Busa who's going to use the outside to go on by. So Matt Busa continuing that impressive drive as he now is in the top 5 and even used the high side in 3 and 4. Something that I wasn't sure we would see at that end of the racetrack being able to work. You could hang on, but Busa using it as a passing lane. He goes around Corey Vincent. It looks like he's struggling with a little bit of a loose race car right now.
Yeah, he's been working it, though. I mean, I don't know if it's a sandbag strategy for the 75, because, again, his teammate qualified on pole, but he didn't put down a time in open practice, didn't put down a time in open qualifying, was 4th slowest of everybody in warm-up, and has driven his way past 34 race cars to be in the top 5 right now. So an absolute mammoth drive for the 75 of Matt Busa. Behind him, the 4 car trying to follow suit. Ryan Luza also able to make a move on the 3 of Corey Vincent there. So Vincent, who has had overall a really positive night after starting back in 27th. Will lose a couple of spots there. He's still inside of the top 10, though may be under fire from the 21 Garrett Lowe, who's the next man up.
And again, that is quintessential Corey Vincent right there, just hanging around, riding around in that top 10. And, you know, one driver that we probably haven't given enough credit to tonight, and that is Malik Ray, who has had an awfully fast race car, was able to pick his way through the field early. Didn't get trapped by that strategy, but is riding right now in fourth. He's running the same pace right now as Graham Boland. He's just 5.5 seconds back, so it's a little more difficult to try and chase him down. He has a lot of clean air in front of him, and he's had it for a while, but Malik Ray, so close at Kansas, had a strong run going at Charlotte. Things didn't work out for him, so nice to see Malik Ray, who's been very, very fast tonight. Finally looks like it's going to pay off here if he can just hang on for 17 more laps and get a well-deserved top 5 finish for Malik Ray. I'm sure he'll take that.
He has been one of the most consistent drivers throughout the year, but a 35th, as you mentioned last week at Charlotte, and a 39th for him back in Atlanta are what have him outside of the top 20 in points. So interestingly enough, his worst 2 finishes coming at intermediate racetracks, but also his best finish of the year of a P11 was also at a 1.5-mile racetrack at Kansas. And this isn't really either or, right? This racetrack clock's in at 1.250 miles. It's that limited and low banking that give it its unique characteristics. Is even back in 32nd, they're racing hard. You can see the left side damage still on Femi Olat's 79 Ford. We talked about that contact way back in the opening 5 laps of this race. He's ahead of Derek Justice. Justice ahead of the 36 of Brian Mercurio, one of the rookies in the field. He got Blade Witt, Taylor Hurst, all back here in this 6-car conglomerate.
And Justice really kind of been struggling to hang on here. Started up and around 15th and has just really been sideways. You can see Mercurio going to try to go on by and make up a spot to 33rd. But that is one thing about this series, Evan, is they race hard for every single position. You listen to the real-world commentators, the Steve Letarts, the Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s of the world. That's the one thing when they get this bird's-eye view that they're shocked by is how hard these drivers race for 20th. 25th, 35th, it doesn't matter. These guys fight for every single point, every single spot that they can. No, Justice and Witt nearly made contact back there for 34th, but again, they'll race hard for every single position.
And somebody else who's done a good job of bouncing it back is Parker Retzlaff in the 6 machine. He is ahead of Keegan Leahy. I know we've talked a lot about Keegan, and that is deservedly so, after Keegan took home the championship with his 2311 team last year in 2021, but this year has admittedly been a struggle for him. He was able to put together a season-best P8 last week, trying to build some momentum to get into the top 20 in a position where a win now could put him on the playoff grid. I don't think a win is in the cards here tonight, but another top 10 finish, if he can get around Retzlaff, would be great for his hopes to at least stay in this series for next season. And as that 3-way battle continues to develop behind them, Ray Alfala ahead of Bobby Zielinski, trying to chase down that trio. Retzlaff is under fire, though, by Ottinger, who's able to leapfrog Leahy.
You hate it for Nick Ottinger, who maybe had a second-place run going. Casey Kerwin as well has gotten back up to 16th after restarting at the back of the field after the strategy didn't work. But Alfala, again, doing a solid job to try and turn this season around. You see Bobby Zielinski, somebody that, much like Evan, Mitchell DeYoung, or Keegan Leahy, was really a part of that group, that trio last year that just qualified so well at every single racetrack. It really paid dividends for them. And it hasn't quite had the success, but I tell you what, we go to a road course here very, very soon, and I think that's when you're going to see Bobby Zielinski, Mitchell DeYoung really shake up this championship fight.
Yeah, that is a big one on the horizon. Road America, July 5th. Certainly going to be a story. And then Watkins Glen shortly thereafter, August 16th. 2 road courses in 3 weeks. Going to give those drivers plenty of opportunities. Back up to the battle we were watching a couple laps ago. So Keegan Leahy was able to get around Parker Retzlaff shortly after Nick Ottinger did. So Retzlaff minus 2 spots in all of this, and now minus 3 as the 41 of Dylan Duvall is able to clear him as well. Behind all of them, Caden Honeycutt going to allow the 46 car of Mullis to clear. So Jimmy Mullis makes a pass for position. He is now up to P17, even with a tad bit of damage on that 46 car. Mullis now +9 on the afternoon. There's an odd board look with him and his Sunoco Chevrolet for Rise Esports, fueled by Sunoco, and not a ton out the windshield. He's seemingly has gotten around all those cars in the vicinity of him, so he just wants to keep a gap on the drivers behind him with 10 laps to go in this race.
Doing a solid job trying to rebound as well. He and his Sunoco Rise Esports teammate Novak having a very fast car. Mullis trying to make his way back up to the front. And that driver that was right behind him, Caden Honeycutt, just has had horrendous luck this year. I was talking to him about it on the grid at Franklin County just a couple of weeks ago, and just kind of asking him, what has gone wrong for you? What do you think is going to be able to turn it around? And it's just a solid night. That's all we need, one solid night. He went out and then wrecked at Charlotte, but at least has finally gotten in a position tonight where Honeycutt, I think, is going to be able to bring it home in the top 20 and just have a night that finally goes his way. He doesn't end up in an accident.
You're just looking for a good afternoon. Sometimes you just need something like that to reset you. Of course, that is an all-rookie lineup between he and his RFK Racing teammate Parker Retzlaff. Both of those drivers making their first seasons here in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Back up to Graham Boland, who has led now 89 laps and is 8 away from a second win in this eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. We referenced some of the road courses. Well, that's where he shook things up last year, winning at Watkins Glen to get himself into a postseason position to get his first career win on an oval. He's 8 laps away from that as we look at the battle for 7th position. Corey Vincent, who has been under fire for much of the late running in this race, now going to have to deal with Garrett Lowe, who's looking to his inside.
And again, of course, the caution lingers if something were to happen to these drivers. It's been a fairly clean night. Something that's kind of uncharacteristic of what we've seen this season. These guys finally able to sort it out. We get a bunch of long runs, some green flag racing here. But of course, these drivers that are right nose to tail, just at the outskirts of the top 10, anything happens, it can really shake up this race. We've already seen it once. Maybe we'll see it again.
And some drivers would appreciate that, others would not. And you had the guts to say the caution word. It's not mine. I don't own it. If anything happens, is Garrett Lowe is going to be able to get underneath the 3 of Vincent. He is through and clear, and almost clear now. 3 car gets a good run through the center, and it might be able to challenge down the back. 21 slides up and almost fences it with that kind of finish of a slide job there. They both got sideways. Vicente Salas going to go to the inside. Nick Ottinger also going to go down to the bottom. And if Vincent's not careful here, he could lose 5 spots before this race is done.
Coming in a very inopportune time, you see Nick Ottinger right behind, ready to pounce, and Keegan Leahy also trying to get into the top 10 as well. So a lot of racing happening. Ottinger will lock up, send Vincent up the racetrack, and they will sort it out. Vincent, though, so loose, loses a little bit of time, but that could have really shaken things up. Ottinger made the same mistake that Mullis made. They just didn't come to blows in turn one, but man, that was close.
Mentioned some of those patriotic paint schemes making the trip here to the outskirts of St. Louis from Charlotte last week, and the Arby's Foundation Folds of Honor colors on board Corey Vincent's Coca-Cola Chevrolet tonight. But finally underneath goes Nick Ottinger, and this time the 25 nails it on the entry, should have the advantage off the corner. 25 is through. Ottinger to 9th. Vincent slides down to 10th, and will a top 10 slip away because Keegan Leahy next on deck trying to get to him.
Leahy trying to make his way up, but look forward to this battle for 3rd. You can see Luza has started to run down Malik Ray these last couple of laps, clicked off a 10th or 2 here or there. Clampett has also fallen back into the clutches of Malik Ray, so we could potentially have a battle for 3rd as Clampett has really fallen off these last few laps.
This is the battle for 3rd, 4th, and 5th position. Clampett at the head of it all, Malik Ray in the middle, and Ryan Luza, the challenger, trying to close in. Luza has been 1 to 2 full tenths of a second faster than Malik Ray, lap by lap. At that rate, he should get there on the last lap. 2 laps to go.
We'll see how he gets down into turns 1 and 2, able to drive in so much deeper with the better tires. Take a little bit more of a diamond. He'll get a run off, trying to cut through that dirty air, though. That's the trouble spot for Ryan Luza, though. The closer he gets, that dirty air going to upset the handling of that car. As Graham Bolin here off of turn 4, set to take the white flag, and what an incredible performance it has been for driver 48.
White flag in the air. This race is official. Started in 4th position, but took to the race lead in the opening third and really never looked back. Did get lucky, very lucky in fact, with the timing of the yellow, but he came down pit road at halfway home, but once he restarted back on the front row, didn't think twice about it. Got his first win last year on the road course in Watkins Glen, but the third-year driver out of Houston, Texas, going to get his first career oval race win. Final time off for Graham Bolin wins at World Wide Technology Raceway, the 7th winner of 2022, and puts his name on the playoff grid.
I think the question wasn't if, it was when. Graham Bolin was finally going to break through to victory lane. 4th podium of the year. We've talked to him after a number of our races, just hasn't been able to quite close the deal, but there's no doubt about it. That Charlotte Phoenix Toyota has been fast, and if there's anybody that is going to go up and challenge the likes of Nick Ottinger and Michael Conti here in 2022, it might just be Graham Bolin. Finally breaks through here for a victory.
Super impressive for him, and he becomes the 37th, or I should say the 34th different multi-time winner in series history. This winning moment is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. Bolin gets his 2nd career win, is the 7th different race winner this season, Blake, and with only 3 now non-race winning spots left on the playoff grid, the boat's getting full.
It is getting full, and again, we talked about it earlier in the broadcast. We have Road America, a track where you're likely to see either a Bolin, a Zelensky, or a Mitchell DeYoung win. Watkins Glen as well. They would be playoff eligible. They're inside the top 20 in points at this juncture. So I think there's a number of drivers that hope that Graham Bolin at this point, he could probably go back-to-back and still have another road course.
They wouldn't mind if a couple of drivers started getting their seconds. If you're a guy that's up there in the point standings, if I'm Casey Kermit or Michael Guest, I want to see repeat winners because I am starting to get a little bit nervous. Let's take a look as we look high above the virtual Worldwide Technology Raceway at our Coca-Cola move of the race, and it came down to the lights. Graham Bolin pitting at the halfway point, needing to get to the yellow cone before the caution flag came out and pit lane closed. He's get to the line, caution's out, lights go red. 2 seconds made the difference. If he had pitted 2 seconds later, he would have been penalized, would have lost the race lead, and we may have likely been talking about a Zach Novak race win instead. Bolin dominates, leading 97 of the 120 laps. As we take a look at your Coca-Cola full race results, Zach Novak 2nd, a great pickup for Logan DeClampett in 3rd to put some energy into the second half of his campaign. We'll talk with all of them in just a few moments. Malik Ray, Ryan Luza, top 5 cars tonight. Ahead of Matt Booth, I should say. Garrett Lowe, Vicente Salas, Nick Ottinger, and Corey Vincent, your top 10.
Only 4 drivers inside the top 10 started inside the top 10. A number of drivers really able to rebound. You look at Parker Retzlaff, Ray Alfala, much needed run for that group. Casey Kerwin was set for a top 5, but unfortunately couldn't rep it tonight. Finishes up in 16th, driving back through the field. Mitchell DeYoung, Donovan Strauss round out your top 20.
Second half of the field, you see the likes of Caden Honeycutt and company. Big night for him. He picks up 10 positions. Brian LaPrade in the green. A tough night. Cody Bias, after starting on pole, finishes 24th in this race. Dylan Alt also struggles to the end of it. You've also got some drivers who just didn't have it tonight. Derek Bordeaux involved in an early race incident. Reynolds, Brotherton, Guest and company just could never get a handle on the debut for this World Wide Technology Raceway in the Coke Series. He is, though, on the playoff grid for the time being, a two-time race winner now in his career. Blake is standing by with tonight's winner, Graham Bolin.
Well, Graham, this is the fourth time we've talked to you in 2022, but the first time it has finally come in victory lane. Graham, how does it feel to finally get over that hump and reach victory lane this year?
Feels amazing, man. A lot of weight lifted off my shoulders, especially before the break. For the last 30 laps, I thought a caution was going to come out. I was thinking about what I was going to do on the restarts, man. Like, I for sure thought there was going to be caution with how hard it is to pass that gateway. I got lucky with the caution. I barely passed the pit road line in the first one. And, yeah, it worked out our way, finally. I mean, we had some bad luck, but also self-inflicted. But we're getting better every week, so hopefully the momentum keeps on rolling our way.
Well, and when you're rolling down pit road right there, you see the lights flicker on just after you enter pit road. What's going through your mind right there?
What was going through my mind was hopefully the pace car doesn't drive really fast around the track and I get stuck a lap down. But I was pretty confident as soon as I saw I didn't have black flag that I was going to keep the lead. If someone else was going to stay out, maybe on like a lap older than me. But other than that, I was pretty confident after the caution flag came out that we were going to be able to hold off everyone. Nick had some good pace, but it seemed like we could keep the tires on it better than him. And, yeah, hopefully we can keep the momentum going. And I just want to say Kevin King asked for a win on his birthday, and, hey, I got it. So, and hey to all the guys back at Charlotte Phoenix. I wish we won at Kansas, but we got one anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Well, we'll have to talk to a birthday boy in his own right in Logan Clampett as well. Happy birthday to both Logan and Kevin. But Graham Bolin's first-time winner in 2022, and how about this, a maiden victory for the Charlotte Phoenix. Congratulations, Graham.
Thank you.
Graham Bolin brings it home P1, and for the second straight week, Zach Novak so close to making it happen here, but Zach, that strategy nearly running out of fuel right there. You see that caution come out. What's kind of the thoughts as you enter pit road right there?
It's actually funny. My exact words that came out of my mouth was just a bunch of uhs. You know, I was really at a loss for words, you know, when that caution played out the way it did, and you know, from, you know, the beginning of the race, our plan was to late pit. So that wasn't really anything like out of the ordinary, you know, for our strategy. We didn't play anything like hoping for a caution or anything like that. It just kind of fell into our lap. So, but overall, man, I don't know how we brought home P2, but I mean, the car was great, but you know, all day we were thrashing at it, trying to make it better. And then, you know, we just thought we can't make it any better. So let's go to something from Thursday. And I had never done a lap on it or anything. And I ran it in qualifying just straight up our race setup and qualified 19th. So that kind of told me right there that, you know, I just race it and kind of go with the flow. So, but yeah, I was a little disappointed at Charlotte, you know, to come home P2, but this one I definitely can't be too disappointed about. I'm pretty happy about it.
All right, Zach. Well, we'll go ahead and let you go. Another strong run, that Rise Esports duo really turning it around in the summer. Zach, congratulations on P2 once again tonight. And how about we give a nod to somebody who's needed a little bit of a pick-me-up here in 2022. Logan, first off, happy birthday, but also a great birthday present here to bring it home P3.
Yeah, thank you, Blake. Yeah, man, this season's been something I've never experienced in this is my 7th year now in the series. So it's good to come away with a podium finish on my birthday. I mean, oh man, finally something went my way this season. So I'm happy about that.
I'm glad you're happy about it. What does this run kind of do for the outlook of your season? Because I know you've had, and we were kind of talking about it during the race, it's been feast or famine for you here in 2022. Are you encouraged, though, by that speed that you've shown in those runs that you've run so well, and do you think this is a good turning point for that?
Yeah, man. I mean, we've been qualifying up front for most of the races. Just something always happens. I feel like in these races, so it gives us a little bit of a boost, and it's awesome that the race finally went green, and when it does, we actually do good. So the Logitech G Sim Seats Chevy Camaro was really fast tonight, and I can't thank Nick Ottinger and Michael Conti and Matt Busa enough for all the hard work. Brandon Hastings, my crew chief Dustin Hall. My spotter wasn't able to make it tonight, Jason Loafing, but I'm sure he was watching. He was sick tonight. Hannah Benefiel, all those guys over there. It's we put a really good car together, but Graham was definitely in a race on his own for sure. So we'll have to step it up for the upcoming races and see what we can do.
I did tell Garrett to send Brandon a good luck message. Apparently he got it before he rolled off for the green flag. But nevertheless, Logan, happy birthday once again, and congratulations for rounding it out on the podium tonight. Much needed run for that 97 bunch.
Thank you, Blake.
Logan Clampett rounds out your top three, Evan, but we get a little bit of a break here and go to an entirely different facility.
We get a couple of weeks off for the summer break, and then we come back at it in just a little under a month's time, and the new unique challenges continue with a trip to Nashville Super Speedway. Blake, I'm excited for the race here because A, it's another new challenge. I'm also excited for it, B, because once we get to race virtually at Nashville means I'm a week away from going to the Nashville Super Speedway for a cup race, which is super exciting. But we talk about these unique challenges. Another first out Nashville Super Speedway, going to be a fun one leading up to all those rotocourse races. So if you're feeling it on these mid to intermediate sized ovals, you need to start cashing in points while you can, and 3 weeks is going to be critical to do so.
It certainly is. This is a place that can really turn your season around. Personally, I've never figured this place out. I don't like it, but guess what? I ran there in the Contender Series last year. We were able to run some fuel strategy, but if you're a driver that can figure this place out, you'll love it. And because it's so narrow, because it's so unique, if you don't figure it out, well, guess what? It's going to be a long week in the Music City.
It will be, as eNASCAR rolls into the Nashville Super Speedway in a couple of weeks' time. But until then, that is it for us here tonight from Madison, Illinois. As always, on behalf of our entire team at iRacing and NASCAR, for our partners at Coca-Cola, and for everybody a part of the broadcast team tonight, from behind the scenes to our Countdown to Green crew and your broadcast crew tonight. For James Pike on pit road, for Blake McCandless, my name is Evan Pasoko, saying thank you for tuning in and congratulations to Graham Bolin, a race winner now in 2 seasons straight, and the 7th different winner of 2022 continues to pack the playoff grid. We're back in 3 weeks' time, Tuesday, June the 21st, for the virtual Nashville Super Speedway. That race and every race of the 2022 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series can be found exclusively streaming live at eNASCAR.com. Until next time, good night from World Wide Technology Raceway.